Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about a specific topic that's been very relevant in my running recently. If you've followed my channel for a while, you'll know that I dealt with a while back a very serious case of insertional Achilles tendonitis, which is essentially pain at the insertion where the Achilles tendon attaches to the heel bone as opposed to further up the tendon. I was able to run the Western States 100 with that injury, but for the last several months, it's been very serious and very painful, and it's hindered my running quite a bit. I've tried pretty much everything to get it to go away. Stretching exercises. I took a month off at one point, which seemed to do absolutely nothing. In fact, I think the month off made it worse than it was before. A few months ago, I was about 80% sure that I was going to need surgery on my Achilles tendon, and I'm happy to announce that for the most part, it has gotten quite a bit better. It's not perfect. I still have some lingering pain every single day. However, I've gone from, in the last 3 months or so, running 3 miles every other day because the pain was so bad, to being able to do about 10 miles a day, 60 to 70 miles a week with 5,000 to 10,000 feet of vertical, doing the sort of training that I'd like to do. For me, the biggest indicator of improvement is the fact that, for example, I ran a marathon a couple days ago. The next day, I was able to do a 2-mile shakeout run. I could have done more than that, but just 2 miles because I was tired. In the past, if I'd done anything that long, it meant 2 or 3 days of no running at all, just because I was in so much pain, I'd be limping around so much. So it's improved a significant amount. Like I said, even though there's still pain and there's some biomechanical limitations that I still have, I'm able to train at the level that I want to be able to train at. There are so many message boards and forums on the internet regarding how you beat it, how people beat insertional Achilles tendonitis, and I'm at the point now where I feel like I can say I beat it. Of course, I'm going to knock on wood because it's always there. It's lingering. I guess it could snap at any moment or whatever. It's not completely better, but it is, almost there. So I wanted to talk about how that sort of happened. A couple months ago, when I was running, I mentioned my Achilles tendonitis and how much of an issue it was, and I had a subscriber reach out to me and recommend a book called Running Rewired by Jay DeSherry. That subscriber's name was Robert Halpenny. So thanks so much for that suggestion. But yeah, I'd been desperate for a super long time, and I was like, oh, what the heck? So I picked up this book, and I would recommend this to every person who deals with injuries ever. I'm not paid by them at all. I just really recommend this to anybody. So thanks for this suggestion, Robert. I mean, that suggestion alone has pretty much turned everything around. So I don't want to spoil too much of this book because I feel like I don't want to take away any of this guy's profits, because it was genuinely super helpful. And whether you're dealing with an Achilles issue or IT band syndrome or something like that, you should definitely buy this book. It really is, it's really helpful. But I'm going to talk about sort of the things that I did and how I was able to beat it pretty much. So for the last several months, I've done quite a few eccentric, I guess it's heel lowering. So essentially you're getting up on your toes and you're slowly lowering yourself down. There's a lot of research that shows that helps repair damaged tendon in the Achilles. So I did that for a long time. Like I said, I don't know that that's what was helping me. And then going back to the book, as I was reading through that book, there was a section that talked about your foot mobility and said that your foot essentially should not behave like a brick at the bottom of your legs. It's not just a stable platform at the bottom of your legs. There's a lot of muscles and a lot of things within your foot that are important in running. And a few months ago, when I was seeing a physical therapist for my Achilles tendon, she pointed out that my big toe joint was starting to fuse, indicating that it wasn't being used a whole lot. And your big toe is very critical in your running gait, so that was a red flag, but all I did to address that was just stretch. The book mentioned that you should have a level of mobility in your toes to where you can raise your big toe and then lower it, and then raise your other toes independently of each other. So being able to raise your big toe, push your other four down into the floor, and being able to push your big toe down into the floor and raise your other 4 toes. That was something that I learned I could not do with my left foot. So I retrained those toes and my nerves in those toes to be able to do that, which is a very difficult thing to do. It's really hard to get a part of your body that doesn't know how to move. But eventually I was able to do that fairly easily. Secondly, there was a stretch in there that I've done quite a bit that has helped a lot. Usually prior to running, especially after I wake up, I find that I have very little flexibility in my Achilles. I can't push my knee that much further in front of my toes. So this specific stretch involving a ball of some kind allowed me to do that pretty much instantly. So when I wake up in the morning before I run, I always do this stretch, and that helps me a lot with the flexibility in my Achilles tendon. So I started doing that. And then the other thing that I was doing is working on balance a lot. This goes back to the big toe again. So some of the exercises that I were doing is a one-legged shoulder raise. So you're essentially raising and lowering a weight while trying to stand flat on your foot. As opposed to standing on the outside of your foot, which is an IT band exercise, keeping your foot flat on the ground, really using your toes to hold yourself steady. And after a few months of doing those exercises, I found that I was able to run quite a bit more. I will say that I think a lot of the improvement is just figuring out how to stretch out those muscles. Supposedly with Achilles tendonitis, every morning when you wake up, there's a lot of knotted up tissue, like a spider web of tissue if you have damage at that point. And a lot of the improvements have just come from figuring out how to sort that out before I run. Just like before, after a long run, I can't run. I think one of the big differences is waking up, doing these stretches. That allows me to run. I still can't just walk out the door in the morning and go run. And there are other limitations too. I still can't run barefoot. I require a little bit of a heel to toe drop. Hopefully I'll continue to improve and be able to do those things. One final thing of note that I think has been a little bit helpful is find yourself a shoe that doesn't bug that point. That's common knowledge. The big bump in your heel can be aggravated by shoes that have a hard heel counter on that spot. The current shoes I'm wearing is the Challenger 4. Those seem to be okay. So that's it. That's how I beat insertional Achilles tendonitis. That's just what worked for me. What worked for me might not work for you. Like I said, I highly recommend Running Rewired by Jay DeSherry. Insertional Achilles tendonitis is a pain. It's of the two types, the insertional and then just the regular Achilles tendonitis. Insertional Achilles tendonitis tends to be the most stubborn, the one that's least likely to have improvements. And a lot of people do end up getting surgery on their Achilles tendon because they can't fix it. So now I'm fairly certain I'm not going to need the surgery. Knock on wood. And I wish you the best of luck in treating your injury because it is really quite annoying. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that helpful.